The big mansion on the hill looked perfect from outside, white walls shining in the sun, golden gates, and a garden full of roses. But inside it was silent. Not the peaceful kind of silence, but the heavy kind, like something was missing. That house belonged to Mr. Raymond, a millionaire who owned half the city's hotels. He had everything: cars, money, respect, but he also had a son who never walked. His name was Ethan Raymond. Ethan was born weak. Doctor said his legs didn't have enough strength. He had never taken a step in his life. Every morning he would sit near the window in his wheelchair, watching other children play on the grass outside. Their laughter used to echo in his head for hours. He wanted to run. He wanted to fall. He wanted to feel the dirt on his hands. But all he could do was sit and dream. Mr. Raymond loved his son more than anything. He was also tired of doctors, tired of promises, tired of false hope. He tried everything: best hospitals, foreign treatments, private trainers. Nothing worked. Soon the house became a place of sadness. Ethan's mother had passed away years ago, and the staff worked quietly, never talking too loud. Everyone respected the boy, but no one really looked at him anymore. He was just the boy who never walked. One rainy morning, something changed. A new maid arrived. Her name was Maria. She was a young black woman, maybe in her 20s, wearing a simple blue uniform. Her eyes were sharp but kind. When she first entered the mansion, she looked around with a soft smile, as if she could feel something others couldn't. The head butler whispered to her, "Be careful. The young master doesn't like talking to strangers." Maria only nodded. "I'm not here to talk," she said. "I'm here to help." That same evening, Ethan noticed her through the glass door. She was cleaning the hall, humming a song he didn't recognize. Her voice was calm, but it carried something powerful, something that reached him even from far away. He didn't know why, but he couldn't stop listening. For the first time in months, he wheeled his chair closer to the door just to hear her hum. The song felt different. It was warm, alive. The next day, Maria saw him sitting quietly in the corner. She smiled. "Good morning, young sir," she said gently. Ethan didn't answer. He only looked away. Maria didn't mind. Every day, she greeted him. Every day, he pretended not to hear. But every night, he thought about her voice. There was something about her that made the air around her feel lighter. One afternoon, when she was cleaning the balcony, Ethan watched her again. She moved with energy, strong, confident. She wasn't like the other maids who walked carefully, afraid to make mistakes. She sang while she worked, even danced a little, and then something strange happened. He saw her lift a broken flower pot from the floor with just one hand. The pot was heavy, and even the gardener struggled with it before. But Maria lifted it like it was made of paper. She placed it back on the table, dusted her hands, and continued singing. Ethan's eyes widened. How could she do that? He wheeled closer, trying to see better, but she had already turned away. Her humming echoed softly in the hall again. That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept remembering what he saw, the way her arm moved, the calm on her face, and that strange power in her eyes. For the first time in years, he felt something new. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't anger. It was curiosity. Mixed with hope, something deep inside him whispered, "Who is she?" And somewhere, far beyond his fears, another voice whispered even louder, "Maybe tomorrow, I will try to stand." The next morning, sunlight poured through the tall glass windows of the Raymond mansion. Ethan sat near the same spot by the window, his wheelchair facing the garden. But today, he wasn't just looking outside. He was waiting for her. He didn't know why he cared, but since he saw Maria lift that heavy flower pot like it was nothing, his thoughts had been restless. He wanted to see her again, to know who she really was. When the clock struck 10, the sound of humming floated down the hall again. It was the same soft voice, calm yet full of life. Ethan's heart jumped. Maria entered with her cleaning basket, unaware that the young master's eyes were following her every move. She wiped the window frames, dusted the shelves, and occasionally smiled to herself as if the world's heaviness couldn't touch her. Ethan finally spoke, his voice dry from lack of use. Why do you always sing? Maria turned slowly, surprised. Then she smiled. Because music reminds me that I'm alive, she said. Ethan blinked. Even when life isn't easy. She nodded. Especially then. He didn't know what to say. No one had ever spoken like that in his house. Everyone talked softly around him, as if afraid their words might break him. But Maria's voice carried strength, the kind that made you want to listen. After a few silent seconds, Ethan asked, "Where did you learn to be so?" Strong Maria chuckled. "Strength doesn't come from big muscles, young sir. It comes from falling again and still getting up." Her words hit him like lightning. He lowered his eyes to his useless legs. "I can't even fall," he whispered. Maria walked closer, kneeling beside him. "Then maybe you haven't found the right reason to try," she said softly. For the first time, someone had spoken to him not with pity, but with challenge. Ethan didn't know whether to feel angry or inspired. That night he dreamt of standing up. He felt his legs burning with pain, but also with life. When he woke up, his heart was beating fast. The image of Maria's calm face stayed in his mind. Days passed. Maria continued her work, but she also began to spend more time near Ethan. Sometimes she read to him. Sometimes she just talked about simple things. Her village, her childhood, her belief that miracles often come from pain. Ethan listened like never before. Every story she told planted something inside him, small seeds of courage. One afternoon, rain started pouring outside. The thunder shook the windows, and the power went out. The mansion turned dark and cold. Maria found Ethan sitting in his chair, trembling slightly. "Don't be scared," she said, lighting a candle. "I'm not scared," he lied. She smiled. "Good. Because storms don't stay forever." They sat in silence for a while. The candlelight flickered between them, and the sound of rain grew softer. Maria began to hum again, the same strange tune from before, but this time Ethan felt something inside him move. His fingers trembled on the wheelchair handle. His chest felt warm. "Maria," he whispered, "why does that song make me feel different?" She looked at him, her eyes shining in the dim light. "Because it's a song for the broken," she said. "And sometimes the broken have the biggest hearts." Ethan stared at her, feeling a tear roll down his cheek. He didn't know why, but at that moment wanted to do the impossible. He placed his hands on the sides of his chair and pushed down hard. His arms shook. His legs refused. Sweat ran down his neck. Maria gasped softly, but didn't move to help. She just whispered, "Don't stop." Ethan tried again. His muscles screamed, his breath caught, and for half a second, he felt his right foot press against the floor. It was only a small movement, barely anything. But it was real. He looked up at Maria wide-eyed. She smiled, tears shining in her eyes. "That," she said gently, "is how miracles begin." The morning after the storm felt different. The mansion seemed brighter, as if the walls themselves had felt what happened the night before. Ethan woke up early, his heart still pounding from the memory of that small movement, his foot touching the floor. It was nothing to others. But for him, it was everything. He sat in silence for a long time, replaying the moment again and again. He could still hear Maria's calm voice whispering, "Don't stop." When she entered the room that morning, Ethan's eyes followed her immediately. She looked as she always did, neat uniform, simple braid, quiet smile. But to him, she was no longer just the maid. She was something more. He wanted to thank her, to ask her how she did it. But before he could speak, she said softly, "You slept well, didn't you?" Ethan nodded. "Moved my foot yesterday." Maria smiled faintly, not surprised. "I know. You know." He asked in disbelief. "How could you know that?" "I heard it," she said. "Not with my ears." "But here?" She touched her heart. Ethan stared at her, confused but curious. "Who are you really?" he asked. Maria looked out the window for a long moment before answering. "Someone who has seen pain," she said finally, "and someone who doesn't want others to live in it." She turned to him again. "Now tell me, Ethan, do you want to walk? Or do you just want to be seen walking?" Her question hit him deep. No doctor, no teacher, not even his father had asked that before. They all wanted him to walk so that he could be normal. But Maria was asking something else, something about his soul. "I want to walk," he whispered. "For me?" Maria nodded. "Then promise me something." "You'll try again today," Ethan agreed without thinking. That day, the house staff went about their usual duties. Maria closed the door to Ethan's room. She moved the furniture aside, leaving a wide space in the middle. "This'll be our training ground," she said with a smile. Ethan looked nervous. "I've tried before. I always fall." Then today Maria said, "You'll learn how to fall the right way." She stood behind him, helping him lift himself from the wheelchair. His arms trembled. His breath came fast. But Maria didn't let him stop. Her hands were firm, guiding but never holding too tightly. "Look ahead," she said. "Not down." He did. "Now, trust yourself," Ethan tried. His legs shook like thin branches in the wind. But he stayed up for 3 seconds, then 5, then fell gently into her arms. She laughed softly. "That's not falling. That's flying halfway." Ethan laughed too, surprised by his own joy. For the first time, he felt alive, not broken. They practiced again and again. Every time he fell, she encouraged him with quiet strength. Every time he stood longer, her eyes shone with pride. By evening, his body ached everywhere, but his heart felt light. "Tomorrow," Maria said as she packed her things, "we'll go a little farther." "Maria," he said, "thank you. You're like magic." Her smile faded just a little. "Magic always comes with a price, Ethan. Remember that," he frowned, confused by her tone. But before he could ask, she was gone. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep again, not from pain, but from wonder. Who was she? Why did her eyes sometimes look so sad when she smiled? He wheeled himself to the window and looked outside. The garden was quiet under the moonlight. But then he saw her Maria standing near the fountain. Her hands raised slightly as if she were praying. The wind around her seemed to move differently, swirling in circles. The candles by the door flickered even though there was no breeze inside. Ethan blinked. For a second, he thought he saw a faint glow around her hands, soft, golden light dot, and then just as quickly, it vanished. His heart raced. "What was that?" he whispered. He didn't know what he had just seen, but deep down, he understood one thing. Maria was no ordinary maid, and whatever secret she carried, it was the same power that made his foot move. The next few days in the Raymond mansion didn't feel the same anymore. The air was no longer heavy. There was life again, laughter, footsteps, and even hope. The servants whispered about it. They said the young master was changing, and they were right. Every morning, Ethan trained with Maria. At first, he could barely stand for more than a few seconds. But with each day, he improved. A few steps became many. What once felt impossible was now becoming real. He would fall often, but he laughed when he did. Maria laughed too, not mockingly, but proudly. Mr. Raymond watched from the doorway one morning, his eyes wide and full of disbelief. His son, who hadn't walked in 16 years, was now standing. "Ethan," he whispered. Ethan turned his head slowly, sweat on his face, but a smile in his eyes. "Father, look at me." Mr. Raymond's heart trembled. He ran forward, holding his son tightly. Tears rolled down his cheeks. "My boy, how is this possible?" Maria stood silently behind them, her face calm, her eyes shining softly. She said nothing. She didn't need to. That night, the house was filled with joy. Mr. Raymond arranged a grand dinner to celebrate. Everyone smiled, but Maria stayed quiet. She didn't eat much, didn't laugh, didn't join in the cheer, because inside her heart, she was afraid. She knew something no one else did. When she was alone in her small servant room, she looked at her hands. A faint golden light flickered for a second before fading again. She closed her eyes, whispering to herself, "Not again. Please, not again." There was a knock at her door. She quickly hid her hands behind her back. It was Ethan, Maria, he said softly. You weren't at dinner? Are you okay? She smiled weakly. I'm fine, young master. Just tired. He stepped closer. Don't lie to me. I saw you outside that night, by the fountain. The light around your hands? What was that? Maria froze. The fear in her eyes was clear. You shouldn't have seen that, she whispered. Why? What are you hiding from me? She sighed, sitting down on the edge of the bed. Ethan, what I did for you isn't something I'm supposed to do anymore. He frowned. What do you mean? Maria looked at the candle flame between them. A long time ago, I lived in a village far away from this city. People there believed I had a gift, the power to heal what others called broken. My mother said it came from the ancestors. But one day, when I tried to save a boy from drowning, I failed. He died. And the people said I brought a curse instead of a blessing. Ah! Her voice trembled. They chased me away. Since then, I swore never to use it again. Ethan stared at her in silence. But you used it on me. She nodded slowly. Because you reminded me of him, the boy I couldn't save. A deep silence filled the room. Ethan didn't know what to say. He wanted to thank her, but he also saw the pain she carried. Maria, he said gently, you didn't curse me. You gave me back my life. She smiled sadly. Maybe, but when light returns, darkness follows. There's always a price. What kind of price? He asked. She didn't answer. She only blew out the candle. The next morning, Ethan woke up earlier than usual. He was full of energy and hope. But when he looked out the window, something felt wrong. The roses in the garden, the same ones Maria used to water every day, were turning black at the edges. The leaves looked dry, lifeless. He found Maria standing near the fountain again, her eyes distant. Maria, he said. The garden, I know, she interrupted softly. It has begun. What has begun? Ethan asked, confused. Maria turned to him, her face pale but calm. Every miracle steals something from the world to balance itself. You walked Ethan, and now something else must pay. The wind blew harder. The sky turned gray. Ethan's heart raced as he saw the water in the fountain turn darker, rippling like shadows. Maria whispered, This time I won't let it take you. The mansion, once bright and full of laughter, started to feel strange again. The servants whispered that the air had changed. The lights flickered for no reason. The roses in the garden had turned black, and the fountain water no longer sparkled under the sun. Ethan noticed it all. But what scared him most wasn't the garden or the stormy sky. It was Maria. She looked weaker every day. Her eyes were tired, her hands cold, her smile forced. Yet she still showed up every morning to help him walk. Maria, Ethan said one day, you don't look well. You should rest. She shook her head. You're walking now. We can't stop halfway, he frowned. But I can walk because of you. If something happens to you, Maria cut him off gently. Don't worry about me, Ethan. Some people are born to give light, even if it burns them. Her words stayed in his heart like a stone sinking into deep water. That evening, Mr. Raymond called Maria to his office. He had been watching her closely, noticing her strange strength and Ethan's sudden progress. Maria, he began carefully, I don't know what you've done, but my son is walking again. For that, I owe you everything. Maria bowed her head. I'm happy for him, sir. Tell me, he said slowly, who are you really? I've seen you outside in the garden at night. I've seen the light. Maria's breath caught. You saw that? Mr. Raymond nodded. I'm not a fool. I don't believe in magic, but I believe in what I see. And I saw something I can't explain. Maria hesitated. Then she said quietly, What you saw is not something to celebrate, sir. It's a gift that takes more than it gives. He frowned. What do you mean? But before she could answer, Ethan appeared at the door. Father, please don't question her like that. Mr. Raymond turned sharply. Ethan, she's hiding something. I can't allow she saved me. Ethan interrupted. She gave me hope when everyone else gave up. Don't take that from me." The room went silent. Maria's eyes filled with tears. Mr. Raymond sighed deeply and walked out. Leaving them alone, Maria looked at Ethan. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered. "I won't let anyone hurt you," he said firmly. "You're the reason I'm alive," she smiled weakly. "You don't understand, Ethan. Every time I used my gift for you, it took something from me. My strength, my peace, maybe even my life." Ethan's heart dropped. "No, I won't let that happen." She turned toward the window, her voice low. "Miracles always demand balance. The more light I give you, the more darkness grows inside me." Suddenly, a strong gust of wind blew through the open window, knocking over the candle. The flame went out, leaving only the moonlight on her face. Ethan saw it then, her skin glowing faintly gold, veins pulsing like fire beneath. "Maria," he cried, rushing forward. She fell to her knees, gripping her chest. "It's starting," she whispered. "I can feel it pulling me." He held her hands. "Please, stop using your power. I don't need miracles. I just need you." Her eyes filled with both pain and warmth. "You're stronger than you think, Ethan. You always were. My power didn't fix you. It only woke what was already inside." Tears rolled down his face. "Then let me help you, please," she smiled faintly. "There's one way. But it's dangerous. It can take what's left of my soul." "I don't care," Ethan said. "Tell me what to do." Maria shook her head slowly. "Not yet. When the final shadow comes, you'll know. Until then, keep walking." She stood weakly, her golden light fading back into her skin. "Promise me you won't stop believing in yourself, even if I'm gone." Ethan grabbed her hand tightly. "I promise." Maria smiled, but her eyes looked far away, as if she were already hearing something only she could hear. Outside, thunder rolled across the dark sky. The fountain water began to move again, swirling faster, darker, alive. Maria looked toward it and whispered, "It's coming for me." Ethan turned, his face pale. "What's coming?" She looked back at him with sorrow and strength mixed in her eyes. "The price," she said softly. "The miracle's price." The storm came without warning. Thunder roared across the sky as rain hit the mansion roof like falling stones. The wind howled through the halls, rattling doors and windows. Servants ran for shelter, but Ethan stood by his window. Staring into the darkness, he could see the fountain outside, its water twisting in strange patterns, glowing faintly under flashes of lightning. The same dark light that had haunted his dreams was now real, and Maria was standing beside it. Her body trembled.
Ah.
Her hands lifted as if she were holding something invisible. The wind whipped her hair around her face, but she didn't move. Her eyes were glowing gold again, brighter than ever before. Ethan's heart raced. He didn't care about his wheelchair anymore. Without thinking, he pushed himself up. His legs shook, but he didn't stop. He took one step, then another, down the stairs, through the hall, out into the rain. "Maria," he shouted, his voice almost lost in the storm. She turned her head slowly. Her eyes looked distant, almost gone. "You shouldn't be here," she said weakly. "I told you I wouldn't let you face this alone," he cried, stepping closer. The air around her shimmered. The fountain water was rising higher, twisting like a snake of shadow. Maria struggled to hold it back with her power, her hands glowing brighter. "It wants balance," she gasped. "It wants a life for a life. Every miracle needs to be paid for." "Then let it take me," Ethan yelled. "You saved me? I'll save you." Maria shook her head. "No, Ethan, that's not how it works. You were never meant to be the price. You were meant to be the proof." "Proof of what?" he shouted over the thunder. She smiled faintly. "That faith is stronger than fear. That miracles begin when we believe we deserve them." The black water suddenly shot upward, wrapping around her legs like living smoke. Ethan rushed forward, grabbing her hand. "Don't let go." She looked into his eyes. "You stood, Ethan. You walked because you found strength inside yourself. Don't let that vanish now." He said, tears mixing with the rain, "But I can't lose you." The golden light from her hands spread across his arms, warm and burning at the same time. He felt it move through him, her power, her soul. "Maria, stop," he begged. She smiled softly. "It's okay. It's not the end. It's only change." The storm roared louder. A flash of lightning hit the fountain, and for a moment, everything turned white. When the light faded, Ethan was on his knees, gasping for air. The rain was slowing. The sky was clearing, but Maria was gone. Only her blue Maid scarf lay near the fountain, soaked but glowing faintly gold. Ethan picked it up, clutching it to his chest. His heart ached like never before. He called her name again and again. But there was only silence. The next morning, the garden was alive again. The roses had turned red, brighter than ever. The water in the fountains sparkled under the sun. The mansion was peaceful, almost holy. Mr. Raymond found his son standing in the garden, walking on his own. "Ethan," he whispered in disbelief. "You're walking." Ethan looked at his father and smiled through his tears. "She's gone, Father, but she's here too, everywhere." He pointed to the sky where soft light broke through the clouds. "Maria's not gone. She became the miracle itself." Mr. Raymond placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then we'll never forget her." From that day, Ethan never used the wheelchair again. He built a small fountain beside the old one and named it the Fountain of Light, in memory of the woman who gave everything so he could live. And every year, when the rain returned, a soft humming could be heard in the garden, the same tune Maria used to sing. Ethan would smile, close his eyes and whisper, "I'm still walking. Maria, I'm still walking." The wind would move gently through the roses, and the golden light would flicker for just a moment, as if she was smiling back, because miracles never truly end. They simply change form,